revolutionary and writer Ernie O'Malley grew up in Dublin. While studying medicine at UCD, he joined the Irish Volunteers following the 1916 Rising. His distinguished military career spanned the War of Independence and Civil War. A skilled writer, his two memoirs of the conflict have become classics. The second volume, The Singing Flame, published in 1978, covers the period of the treaty and the Civil War. Here, Ernie describes the tension and excitement as an anti-treaty garrison occupied the forecourts and Public Records Office on Holy Thursday, 13th of April, 1922. And then, some weeks later, the anxious wait for the fighting to begin. Liam Mellows said, "We're going to take over the forecourts tonight. We're going to have a decent headquarters at last." "It's a huge series of buildings, Liam," I said. "They will attempt to clean us out tomorrow." Approaching midnight, we walked along the footpath near the river, through dimly lighted streets. As we approached the courts, the heavy, massive buildings took blurred shapes in the darkness. The dome could be seen faintly against the sky. We leaned against the parapet, opposite the main gates. We approached the main gates. Some stooped down and gave others a back. They climbed over the railings and disappeared into the dark. "They're going to round up the police, I suppose," I said. Liam nodded his head. The heavy iron gates of the courts were open from the inside. Liam and I walked through. Inside the shadows loomed tall forms, the police, guarded by 5 youngsters. They were told to march outside and go home. They answered our good nights and crunched away. The sound of marching men. "What's that?" asked Liam. "I don't know," I replied. "The Tipperary men or the Staters?" We waited in the shadows. The marching feet swung in the gate. Forms carrying rifles appeared. They wore no uniform. The Tipperary men had arrived. Guards were posted inside the 3 entrance gates. We moved up and down in the dark, meeting members of our staff, trying to find our way with flash lamps and candles. We went astray in the dark. We got separated and shouted until we heard footsteps or voices. It was a huge area of buildings. I entered room after room on the 2nd story. This will do, I thought, as I located a nice little suite of rooms. I pinned a sheet of paper to the door, "Office of the DO." I opened other doors. I found more suitable quarters. I pinned another sheet on the door. I went further, yet better offices. It was like being in a Hans Andersen fairy tale. I went downstairs to help put the position in a state of defense. Motor cars and lorries brought in sandbags and barbed wires. The building swallowed them up. "It's like putting a strawberry on a bull's mouth," said a Tipperary boy as he carried in a sandbag. The majority of windows were barricaded with heavy legal tomes, law books and weighed ledgers, and tin boxes filled with earth. From the flat roof, some of us watched the dawn over the city, lifting slowly across the river, creeping up with the gulls from the custom house. Shafts of light striking the shivering Liffey, a light breeze making little waves in relief. The light climbed up the houses, touched the sturdy Norman masses of Christ Church, moved over the slender spires of St. Patrick's Cathedral, and dropped onto the irregular squares and cones of Guinness's brewery. We looked down at the defences and laughed. The barristers and the gown notables from the inns of the court never dreamed that one day their heavy legal tomes might defy the law and stop a bullet. The record office was converted into a munitions factory. It was the most isolated building for that work. Lathes and motors were installed. Mine cases were made and filled with explosives manufactured in the building. Grenades were cast and filled.